The Unlikely Allies, Chapter 1. The Fang. The sun rose over the Fang, bringing the warm summer air with it. Flowing from the East Sea over the desolate, dead grey ground of the plains of Noor, it made its way through the lush green grass surrounding the forest, rising to knock the old leaves from the ancient oak trees, before moving along the shoreline, where waves crashed onto the pebble beach before the Fang, as a pack of wolves stalked the shore in search of an easy meal. "What's that thing?" one of the wolves mumbled to himself. He moved over to a bit of seaweed on a rock that appeared to be moving. Pulling the weed away, he found it wasn't covering a rock, but a worn wicker basket with a malnourished baby inside. "Hey, what you found?" another wolf shouted as he ran over, followed by others. "I don't know. It looks like an elf pup," the first wolf replied. "It looks like a nice snack to me. Let's eat it before the others get here." The first wolf snarled, moving in to bite off the child's head. But before he was able to, the basket was swept out from under his jaws. Another wolf had pulled the child away and put the basket between her front paws. She had bright white fur with a black line over her left eye. She bared her sharp teeth at the wolves in front of her, staring them down with deep brown eyes. "You fool!" she snarled. "This is no elf. This is a human pup." The others moved in on her. "That's not human. They're long gone. Now, give me my kill. I find it," the first wolf proclaimed, with drool running down his jaws, hungry for his snack. "This pup is not for eating," she barked back, holding her ground as they circled her. Then an almighty howl came from the forest. The wolves all turned to see a humongous jet-black wolf walking out of the undergrowth. He howled down to the beach with such force it shook the leaves from the surrounding trees. He was Balvar Mammoth Slayer, descendant of Barrymore the Brutal, Lord of the Fang. "Celine, what's going on?" he barked down at the female wolf on the shore. The other wolves backed off and went back to hunting, not wanting to deal with the wrath of their alpha. Celine picked the basket up in her jaws and ran to Balvar. "Where did you find that?" he asked. "It was on the shore. I got to him just in time. He's human, right?" Her angry tone had been replaced by one of sheer excitement. "Yes, it seems to be," he replied, sniffing the child who lay there sleeping. "You should put it back." He turned to walk away, but Celine blocked his path. "We can't just leave him, my love," Celine said, trying to pry on her mate's softer side. "The humans would not show such favour to our deformed pup," Balvar said sternly. "Our pup is not deformed," she snapped at him. "Humans and wolves were allies long ago. Who's to say if they would? But if we leave him, he will die out here, and I see no need for that," Celine argued, and with that took the basket back in her jaws and walked off into the forest. "Fine, I want nothing to do with that thing," Balvar grumbled under his breath as he followed his mate back into the Fang. The pair made their way to the centre of the forest, causing wolves to begin poking their heads out of their dens to see what Celine was carrying. Wolf dens were terribly basic, nothing more than large holes in the ground filled with grass and leaves to make them more comfortable. Celine placed the basket in front of her den and took the child softly in her jaws, putting him in the grass bed next to her own tiny pup. He wasn't like the other wolf pups. Her pup was tiny for his age and still had patches of skin showing where his light brown fur hadn't grown. "What do you intend to do with it now? You know what the elves will do if they find out there's a human here," Balvar said as he joined Celine outside the den. "I intend to care for him, my dear. The elves have no reason to come here." They'll never need know about him," Celine said, turning to look into her den. Her own pup had woken, and the two were now playing. The puppy jumped around the child, whilst he tried to catch the little wolf's tail, unsuccessfully. "See? And it will do Billy good to have a brother." She was smiling from ear to ear, too happy to see her pup playing to care about the consequences. "You should name it. The others will be less likely to eat it if it has a name." Balvar groaned, realising he had no say in the matter. "I'll call him Hilly. It will fit nicely with Billy," she announced. "Hilly and Billy?" Balvar replied, unimpressed. "Yes, they're great names," she said, smiling and feeling very proud of herself. "And as for the elves, you shall have to speak to the ranger and come to an understanding." "The ranger's aid does not come for free. You know what he will ask," Balvar grumbled. "Yes, I know, but you have put off the inevitable for years now. We have hidden in these woods for far too long." "Fine, I'll tell the others," Balvar said, sitting up and walking off back down the path. The Fang was the 900-acre forest the wolves lived in. Shortly after the humans' purge, many wolf packs feared the elves and other races would put them to death for fighting alongside the humans of the Crown City. For safety, they joined together under the rule of Barrymore the Brutal. He had stood beside King Harold Hargo at the head of the humans' army. Barrymore led them to live in the forest, close to where the Crown City used to be. And after a few years of living there in peace, Barrymore was approached by a wood elf ranger who offered the wolves ownership of the forest. In return, they would have to defend the nearby town of Nares, should it ever be needed. Barrymore agreed to his terms and renamed the forest the Fang. He was then seen as the saviour of the wolves, and since then, a wolf of Barrymore's blood has always led the pack. Balvar was a descendant of Barrymore, and a popular leader whose reign had until now been faultless. He hoped this was enough to convince the others to turn a blind eye to his mate's choice to raise the human pup, a decision he wasn't happy about himself and couldn't understand. However, it was not Celine alone that bound him to care for the human. The wolves' own laws forbid any wolf to harm or enable a human to be harmed. Any human who may come to a wolf asking for aid could not look away. Likewise, in human law of the past, no matter how much hatred and cruelty King Harold's army inflicted on the other races of Alidor, wolves were always treated as equals. The last thing Balvar wanted was the blood of a human on his paws. Balvar continued walking down the path until he came to a small pond surrounded by mossy boulders, most of which had a tired wolf sleeping on top. Balvar walked through the pond and leapt up onto the biggest boulder, lying down with a groan. A smaller dark brown wolf called Gerist hopped up onto the boulder beside him. He only had one ear, losing his left years ago when he and Balvar were only pups. "What's the matter, boss?" Gerist asked. "It's Celine," Balvar replied with a sigh. "What's she doing now?" Gerist wondered. Before Balvar could tell him about the baby, he caught sight of the hunters that had Celine cornered on the beach. They were making their way to the pond, led by a rather unpleasant wolf called Fengal. He had a black greying coat, and his face was covered in scars. "Well, have you told them yet?" Fengal shouted to Balvar. "I was just about to," Balvar said, sitting up on his boulder. "Celine found a human pup on the beach and intends to raise it as her own," Balvar announced, raising his voice to be certain they all heard. The ears of the wolves raised, never expecting to hear such a thing. "She didn't find anything. My hunters found it. The pup belongs to me," Fengal barked as his hunters began to circle the other wolves at the pond. "Celine has done you a favour, Fengal. You know the rules about eating humans." If she hadn't taken it, and your hunters had eaten it, then we would be here discussing your punishment," Balvor said calmly. "We don't have to eat it, but it has to die. If the elves found out, they'd kill us all. You're endangering the whole pack," Fengal barked as he made his way into the pond. "The decision has been made, Fengal. There's nothing more to talk about," Balvor said. "That child will bring doom upon us, and when it does, I shall have your head for it, Balvor," Fengal barked. Hearing this, Jarest leapt into the pond in front of Fengal. "Well, we better kill you now then. Can't have the boss watching his back all them years." Jarest growled at his new enemy. "Enough. This discussion is over. Selene will raise the boy. We will hide him from the world. None will know of him apart from members of our pack," Balvor said. Following that, he leapt off his boulder and began walking back towards the path. But Fengal wasn't done. "Will we really be led by a wolf who can't even control his own mate? The only reason that bitch wants it is because she can only have deformed Suddenly, before Fengal could finish, Balvor grabbed him by the back of the neck and forced his head onto the water. Before Fengal's hunters could help, they were blocked by Jarest and the rest of Balvor's hunters. Fengal was frantically struggling for air, making him swallow more of the dirty pond water. He felt his lungs begin to fill, just as Balvor pulled him out and threw him to the ground beside the pond. Balvor walked over to Fengal and asked, "Do we have anything else to discuss?" "No, boss," Fengal said, coughing up the water as he did. After his altercation with Fengal, Balvor made his way to the outskirts of the Fang and sat beneath a tree to overlook the plains of Nor. He looked up into the trees above him and saw a crow sat there staring back. "I need you to find the ranger for me. Tell him we must speak," Balvor said. "Caw, foolish wolf! He cannot just be summoned especially by you, ha ha!" the crow squawked. "Get him and tell him the pact will be broken if he does not come," Balvor ordered. "Fine, but he won't be happy about it. I have warned you, wolf, ha ha!" the crow cawed, flapping his wings and taking off. With the crow away, Balvor returned to the dens and waited. 3 months passed with none but the wolves knowing of the human, until the ranger finally arrived at the Fang. When he did, Balvor was already waiting. He had caught the ranger's scent long before he had reached the forest. "Why have you summoned me?" The crow didn't say much, just that you wish to break our pact, the ranger asked as he got down from the white horse he rode. "We must change the pact you and my ancestor made. I do not wish to break it," Balvor said. "For what purpose?" the ranger asked. Balvor stared at the wood elf before him and prepared himself. 3 moons ago, in the month of the steed, my mate found a child, a human child," Balvor announced. The ranger put his hand to the sword on his belt. "Hand him over," the ranger demanded as anger swelled in him. "No, you know our laws tell us we cannot let the boy be harmed," Balvor replied. "Your laws are not mine. Hand over this child, Lord of the Fang, or I shall return with my rangers and we will take him," the ranger said. "I will not hand him over, and you will have to burn down every tree in the Fang to find him," Balvor roared, making the ranger draw his sword. "I'm not playing, dog. Hand him over. If you don't, and the seers find out, they will burn your forest with your wolves in it," the ranger argued. as he held the long sword with its silver blade shining in the darkness. "Enough of this," a voice said out of the shadows of the fang. They both turned to see another figure covered in smoke, with his face and body hidden under his old brown cloak, the stink of pipeweed coming from the pipe hanging from his mouth. The smoke concealed him and had dulled Balvor's senses, letting him sneak up on the pair. "What are you doing here?" the ranger said, rage fuming from him. "I heard you were travelling here and wondered what it was about. Seems I got here just in time," the smoke-covered figure said. "This is not your concern. Get out of here," the ranger shouted to him. "Oh, I don't know about that. Sounds to me there is an agreement we can all come to here," the smoky figure said. "I agree. Last time we spoke, Ranger, you asked me to join your group. Well, I will, if you can promise me the boy will be left with us. We will keep him in the fang. None but us will ever know of him," Balvor said. "True, your skill would come in use, but if the seers find out, they would slaughter you wolves. They hear nothing from your people these days. They have forgotten about you, and that is for the best. If they ever hear of this human, their eyes will turn back to the fang, and nothing I can do will help. The elites will wipe you out," the ranger warned, lowering his sword to his side. "I am sorry, but this is how it must be. Maybe, maybe not. What if I stay and watch over the wolves?" the figure queried. "How could I trust you to watch them?" the ranger asked. "I am not immortal like you, Woody. I am getting old. There are ruins of a farm to the southwest of here. I think it will make a nice place to grow even older. I shall buy it and watch over the wolves and humans from there. Our group will only know the truth of the human. We already have so many secrets. One more will not hurt. In return, Balvor will join us and shall answer the ranger's call whenever it comes. But you should know this, Fang Lord. Our work takes us far from our homes and into the darkest places this world has. You must ask yourself, is protecting this child worth this? You have a charmed life now. All you have to do is cast the child aside, and it will be that again," the figure stated. "If you will watch over them, and if you, Balvor, agree to join, I will agree to this also. But it is as this thieving fool has said, this will change your life. Eyes will turn to the fang some day, with the human here," the ranger said. "In truth, if you had come the same day we found him, I may have handed him to you. Now I would never give him over. He is one of my pack now, my son. I will join you. I'll be there when you call, and I will keep the boy hidden here. He will never leave the fang," Balvor said. The ranger turned and pulled himself back onto his steed. "Then we are agreed. I shall send the crow when I have need of you. Until then, I hope to hear nothing of this place," the ranger said, and with a glare to the figure he sped away. Balvor turned to address the smoky figure, but he had already vanished.